You have just read about implementing differentiated instruction, or DI, in your classroom. As you watch this video, keep the following questions in the back of your mind. How can you effectively teach several types of learners using one lesson? How might your personal teaching style complement or clash with your students' learning styles? How can you best utilize various types of assignments to teach your subject or subjects? Let's quickly review the VAK Learning Styles model, which divides learners into three categories: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Visual learners prefer learning through things that are easily seen or observed, such as pictures, diagrams, demonstrations, displays, graphs, and films. These learners use phrases such as, "let's take a look," or "show me." Visual learners are best able to perform new tasks after reading instructions or watching someone else do the task first. Auditory learners prefer learning information through spoken words, music, and other sounds. These learners use phrases such as "tell me" or "let's talk it over." They will be able to perform a new task the best after listening to instructions, and they are the type of person who can remember all of the words to every song they hear. Kinesthetic learners prefer physical experiences, such as touching, feeling, holding, and other hands-on experiences. These learners will use phrases such as, "let me try." Kinesthetic learners are best able to perform new tasks by trying it out, learning as they go. They may tend to experiment hands-on, without first looking at the instructions. People commonly have a main preferred learning style, but more often than not, their overall learning style will be a blend of two different styles, or even a blend of all three. Some people have a very strong preference. Other people have a more even mixture of different learning styles. Let's look at a hypothetical lesson. Pretend you are preparing to teach a math class how to find the perimeter of different shapes. How could you engage each of the three learning types in this lesson? Pause the video and try to think of your own examples. When you are ready to continue, press play. There are many possible paths you could have taken when developing this lesson plan. Let's examine just one example for each type. For visual learners, you could instruct your students to draw 5 different four-sided shapes of their choice. Have the students determine the perimeter of each shape in centimeters. Then instruct the students to cut out their shapes and arrange them from smallest perimeter to largest perimeter. This will help visual learners grasp the concept of perimeter in actual measurements as well as in visual forms. For auditory learners, you could deliver a very brief lecture on how to determine perimeter. Then distribute a handout with 8 different shapes, each of which has some of its sides labeled with its length or height, and one having a perimeter of 35 centimeters. Read a set of instructions out loud that will help the students determine the total perimeter for each shape and eliminate shapes until they find the one that has 35 centimeter perimeter. Finally, for kinesthetic learners, make use of rulers, triangles, compasses, and physical shapes. Have your students use different measuring tools to determine the perimeter of different wooden shapes. Like visual learners, you could have your students line the shapes up in order from smallest perimeter to largest. This way, they can actually touch their measurements rather than just see perimeter as something on paper. As we have mentioned, your learners may prefer multiple different learning modalities. With enough planning, it is easy to develop lessons that will appeal to multiple learning types. For example, a class play involving music could appeal to both visual and auditory learners, while projects involving hands-on experimentation with visual objects could easily satisfy kinesthetic and visual learners. In this section, we briefly reviewed the VAK Learning Styles model. We learned what type of assignments may appeal to each type of learner, and you reviewed some examples of teaching each learning type the same material. Remember the questions that you asked yourself at the beginning of this video. Now is a good time to answer these questions. Once you have done that, apply your answers to the themes of this video.